Hi, this is Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec, a YouTube channel that makes scrap lifting easy. I give step-by-step instructions with measurements so you're not left wondering, what the heck did she just do? In this video, I'll show you my approach to making a 4-block grid, where each block is treated like its own mini layout. The page is busy, energetic, and does require a certain amount of free-flow creativity. But hopefully the guidelines I share will make this technique a little less intimidating. Most of the material I'm using comes from Stampin' Up's Happiness Bloom Suite, and I will write all of the material and tools in the information box below this video. You can use the material of your choice, of course. All you need is paper, cardstock, decorations, something to create a title, and 3 square photos. It's actually a great product to use up those 6x6 paper pads. This is the material I'm using, and as you can see, I've also selected project lifestyle cards that belong to this collection, some enamel dots, some punches that I don't end up using. And the first step is to create a frame style foundation. I used 3 pieces of cardstock, and what's important is that the top piece is a pale neutral. Then you need 4 4.5-inch blocks, and I have 2 identical, 2 different, and one of them should be a solid cardstock. This is block number 1. It's going to be the title block, and I am going to create the title and an important embellishment cluster here. What's most important to remember about this block is that it has to have a visual impact for your page. Now, I'm going to create my own decorations here, but you can use pre-made decorations as well. I'm going to stamp on this rectangle with the Bloom by Bloom stamp set, a new one by Stampin' Up. And it's fun to use. I love these see-through stamps because they're so easy to place. It's also easy to use different colors. That's always difficult for me, so I find it fun with these stamps that are clear. I also have another stamp set called 9 Lives, again, new from Stampin' Up, and it's a cat-themed stamp set, so I stamped an expression there, "You're the cat's meow," and now I'm stamping a cat that comes with a coordinating punch. Now, I'm creating my own embellishment cluster, but you can make one that will support the theme of your story. There are no 2 title blocks alike. Now, once I've determined the size of my title, and I wrote my title as Stanley, and I punched out those letters with my Big Shot, now I'm going to layer up some paper on this blue block. The size of the green and white striped paper was dependent on the size of my lettering. And now what I'm doing is creating more layers. I'm going to add a yellow piece of cardstock underneath that white rectangle, and that's going to go on top of the green and white striped paper. The color scheme that I selected for this title block was drawn from the printed paper that I had already selected. The predominant colors are blue, green, and white, and there's also a bit of yellow in one of the papers. So that's how I came up with the color scheme for this title block. Again, like I said, the most important thing here is that your title block has an impact on your page, that it has a visual impact. It also should support the theme of your story, of course. And it's going to be the first place that your eyes fall upon when you look at this page. It's going to draw your interest to this page. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you 2 other pages where I use this technique, and you will see 2 completely different title cards. That's why I'm not giving you a recipe for the inside of this title card. It's impossible. You really have to draw on your creativity here to create something. Use the colors in your paper as inspiration, use your story as inspiration, and make an impact and have some fun. Here are the 2 other pages, and you'll see 2 other title blocks, completely different. What's the same is the placement of the block in the top left-hand corner. Now what I'm going to do is work on block number 4, and that's going to be where I house my focal point photo. That's the photo that's a little bit smaller than the other two. Now what you want to do here is treat this photo differently than the other two photos. So what I'm doing here is creating a frame. I put 2 nesting square dies, one inside the other, on my Big Shot platform and ran it through the Big Shot, and out popped a frame. Now, you don't have to create a frame here. What's really important here is that you treat this photo differently than the other two. I found my blue polka dot frame a little bit lost in that green flowery paper, so I'm adding a yellow photo mat. And the yellow, I chose it. I was inspired by my title card. So when you're making block number 4, use the title card that you've already made as inspiration. What I'm doing here is I'm adding some foam squares, but I'm not adhering it to the green paper just yet. I'm going to play around with some paper. Those are just scraps left over from the paper I have already trimmed, and I'm going to layer some of it underneath my block. Again, there's no hard and fast recipe here. This depends on what you have on your desk and the decorations you have and the theme you are scrapbooking. I want you to take note that some of these layers are popping out from the side of the 4.5-inch block. It's breaking the barriers of the 4.5-inch block, and that's okay. It adds visual interest to this layout. It makes the grid fun. What I do recommend here is the tag I'm making there, which I made with a tag punch, and I'm making a reinforcer with a hole punch and a circle punch. I'm using the paper that is found in blocks 2 and 3. In my case, it's the navy and white daisy paper. And what I recommend on block 4, on this block, is to add a repetition of that paper somewhere on this block. I'm making a tag. You can do something else. And now what I'm doing is using some stickers, and they come with those Project Lifestyle cards that Stampin' Up makes. They're called Memories and More, and that particular sticker there says, "Such Fun Times." I stuck it on the tag. And now I'm ready to adhere everything to the green block. Now, the placement of the photo is not important. You put it on the block where it makes sense to you. In my case, I did it to the far left simply because I didn't want to cover up that sticker that says "Such Fun Times." And what's important here is that this design is unpredictable in a bit. It's supposed to be unpredictable. So the placement of the photos isn't important, and it actually adds to the unpredictability of the design. So it's important to the design. Put your photos where you want to. I also added a few stickers there. Now I'm moving on to blocks 2 and 3, and I make those simultaneously. These blocks are going to be almost identical. The background, the blue and white daisy paper, is identical. The size of the photo is the same. The photo matting is the same. I have white and navy photo mats. And in both cases, it's where I am going to add a bit of journaling. Now, what I usually do here is add a few tags, which is exactly what I'm doing here. And I made those tags with Project Lifestyle cards that came in that kit. And I made it with the same tag punch that I made with the other tag in the bottom right block. I'm having these tags stick out from underneath my photos, and you're going to notice that they pop out from the sides of the 4.5-inch block, and that's okay. It's nice, it's interesting for the design, but in this case it's practical because I need room to write. And usually blocks 2 and 3, well actually always blocks 2 and 3, I keep them minimally decorated. In this case, I'm just going to have the tags because the tags already have a bit of printed paper on them, that blue and white striped at the top of each tag. Had those tags been just white, I may have added a minimal decoration. But it's important to keep blocks 2 and 3 minimally decorated because the other 2 blocks are very decorated. So your eye still needs a rest somewhere, even when the layout is very, very busy. In the end, I actually add a sticker to the top right-hand block, but it's quite low impact, so to speak. It's white and you don't really see much of it. Now what I'm doing is adhering those 4 blocks to the page, and I do that at 1 3/8 of an inch in from the outside of the 12 by 12 foundation piece. Once down, I have a look at my page and I may add a few finishing touches. So what I'm doing here is I added a little sticker with foam adhesive to the inside of that yellow stamped flower. These are some enamel dots that come with the kit, so I'm adding those to the middle of the flowers. And the stamp set, Bloom by Bloom, has these real cute doodly dots. And so I'm going to stamp some of them just around my focal point photo at the bottom right. And I add one to my title block as well. So I hope these few guidelines get you going. Don't forget, basically, the blocks should be a title block that has an impact. There should be block 4, which has the focal point photo, which is most decorated. And keep blocks 2 and 3 to a minimum when it comes to decoration. I hope these guidelines get your creativity flowing. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to Scrapbooking Quebec. And if you hit that bell button, every time I post a new video, you'll get notification. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.